This is a Keurig cup holder for a gift. You've probably seen these. This was another split coast stamper design that I thought, oh, we can do this easily on Make the Cut. What this is a outside box here that you fold the sides up and glue the tabs once they're folded. And then you fold this up, it's a little bit smaller, and it fits inside the bottom box. And then you can put a design on the back, a tall shape on the back, and a smaller shape on the front, and it makes a really cute gift. Put a couple of those single serving coffee things in these holes. Now these holes are 1¼ inch in diameter, and I guess that's what the Keurig cups need. I don't use those, so I'll have to leave it to those of you who use that kind of machine to tell me if I need to adjust those sizes. But it's a very simple design. Now, when I created this, I noticed that they were using a kind of a cute label. They actually used, I think, a Spellbinders die, which I may or may not have. I didn't even take the time to look through it. I just wanted to do it with my cutter. So I designed my own little label, and I did make a YouTube video on how I made this using a tilde shape from the Samantha font. And I'll show you just what shapes I use. This is the tilde here, and I flipped it. I duplicated it and mirrored it here, and did the same thing with the sides and bottoms. I added circles, and you can see my video of how I did it, but I just selected all of these, I welded, then I did a blackout. So now I have this shape that I used over here. Now you could nest it if you want. I'm going to undo all this because this is my just a demo page. So these are the building blocks. I call that page building blocks because that's what I used to create the shape. Then this was the resulting nested shapes that I got from it. So to do the front and back of this Keurig holder, I took just the back layer here and copied it, and I brought it over here, Control-Shift-V, and did a 90-degree rotate. So you can see that all I needed to do was divide this in half. So to split this in half, I went over to my figure 8 here to open the node editing toolbar, and I selected the eraser. You could do this different ways. I'm going to use an eraser. The smallest eraser I think is 0.25, is it? Very tiny eraser. And I think I'll use the snapping so that I don't make a mess of this drawing here, but I left click here and drag. Whoops, I got to hold the control key so it goes straight. And just drag it all the way through, and it divided this into two pieces. So I need to use the split fifth icon from the left on the bottom toolbar to separate these. So now I have two pieces, and I'm going to use this piece and this inset piece kind of as you can use pattern paper if you want, and this would be a backing. Then I want to flip this one so it's up here, and I'll turn the snapping off. Notice that this one is shorter. Let's see how short this one is. This one is 3.3154, so approximately 3 inches from the top. You can cut it off wherever you want, but I'm going to again use the eraser tool, hold the control key, And 1, 2, 3, maybe right about here. I'm going to just click and drag. When you see the ends of this line have the vertical lines on it, you know you have it straight. And you let go and you have your piece. So again, I'm going to split this, and I don't need this bottom piece. Now I have these two pieces, and I want to create this other inside piece, so I'm just going to select both of them, click on the shadow layer, which is the fourth icon from the right, and that -2 looks pretty good. You could use whatever thickness you want, but I'll accept that. And I'll change these colors to the light pink. So now I have something to glue. I glue these two pieces together after I get them cut, and I glue these on the back of the cup holder, and I glue these on the front, and in between is the box that holds the little cup. So these would kind of be these. I need to, since I did these together, I need to split them. To give you kind of a visual on this. This would, when it's all done, this will be on the front and these will be on the back of the box. So now to make the box, and I can get rid of these because I don't need them. The box starts with a square, SQ, double click. We'll send that to its own layer, and again, I think I'll go to the green mat so you can see me working. We're going to use the green lock icon, and we're going to resize this box to 7.5 wide, 7.5 inches, and tab over to the height of 4.5 inches and enter. So I have my, well, that's a weird size. 7.5 by 4.5, and the inside box has to be a little smaller, so I must have done a different size here. 6.35. I'm going to hold Control Shift and click to get the second box, but I'm going to resize it. It has to be smaller to fit inside of this one. Maybe what I'll do is do a shadow so I know that it's smaller, and I'm going to make it just maybe 1/10 of an inch smaller. That way it'll fit inside, maybe 0.15 inches. Minus 0.15 inches makes a smaller box inside, and accept that. So now I know this box is going to fit inside of the other box. What I could do is create this whole thing and then duplicate it, but I think this will work out fine. Then we have some score lines. We want these to fold down so they have 1-inch legs on it. So to do that, I like to use my snapping on the 1-inch lines, and I'll add a new layer and click on my little Bezier draw tool, and I'm going to take this left and right click, left and right click, and you notice that the score lines go over the line because I have 1-inch snapping. And then here I'm just going to score between these, left click and then right click at the end, and I'll need to move this over, so I'll be going to select these and just drag them in with no snapping. If you're ever trying to draw a line or a shape and it won't go where you want it to, you got to take the snapping off and then it'll go where you want it. And I'll come back over here to this mat here and get the right side lined up. Left click and right click. So we have some score lines here. We could make these little indentations here, these little cutout pieces that when they were doing it, they just did it by hand. We could just make solid cut lines there, or we can do the cutouts. So I'm going to make these score lines, I'm going to make them line style and make them dash lines. And then I'm going to add a new layer and I'm going to hide those score lines. And I'm going to, well, I think I'll show them because I'll show you how to do it with the triangle. To draw the lines in, you would just draw these lines to continue them up and down, and then you could overlap them. But if you want to do a little cutout, you could either draw them in with a pen, or you can take a triangle. So I can click here and do a TR to find the right triangle and make that triangle really skinny and flip it and just line it up right there on that 1-inch line there. Make sure it overlaps the top. And we can do the same thing as we did before, or just Control Shift click and mirror this so that it's turned the right way, and line it up so its point is pointing right at that score line. I can take both of these, Control Shift click, whoops, didn't want that. Let me hide that one. Control Shift click, arrow down. Control makes the arrow down go faster. Get it down where I want and flip them. Move them up a little. Once I have them all pointing right at the score lines, help to zoom in a little, then I can join them and Boolean join them. You can zoom in using the zoom tool on the virtual mat toolbar. So these are just little cutouts, and I'm going to hold a shift and click each one of these so that I make them all join together. Now I can show this background and click it so they're all selected and do a Boolean join, B minus A, and apply. So now I have those little cutouts there. I'll put the score lines up above so we can see them. Now I can do the same thing to create the lines here. I think what I'm really going to do is just duplicate this, Control Shift and drag, and just resize it. I think I want this one to be this size, so about 7.2 inches wide. So I'm going to select this, put the gold lock icon on, and make this 7.2 and press enter. So this one's going to be a little smaller. Now I want to get these center circles in here, and they're 1¼ inch wide. So I'm going to click on Basic Shapes, type CI, double click on the circle, and make that 1.25, enter. Looks like they'll fit. Now if I have all of this centered, I could probably eyeball it. So in this shape I have 2 and not quite a half. Let's see, 1, 2 3/4 inch here, so I kind of want this in the middle of this section. If I really wanted to be precise, and I know somebody will ask this, so I'll just do it. Type in SQ. How would I center these circles perfectly in this design? I can just get a square and make it the same size as that opening right here. Then put my circle over that, click both and type S so they're centered, and then remove the square. And then I would do the same thing. I would do Control-Shift-Click to get my second one here, click both of these, type S, then get rid of the square. Now I can select each of the circles and join, then hold the Shift and select the bigger rectangle and Boolean join. B-A and apply. So now I have the inside piece. I can make these whatever color I want. Maybe let's say I want them purple. I can go to the contrast matte to see the colors. That's kind of dark. I'll make them lavender. And then I'll get rid of the empty layers by clicking the trash can icon at the bottom. And there we have them. Keurig cup holders. So once you get these folded up, you tuck these ends under and glue them so they're standing up. This is the outside box on the bottom. This goes inside the box. And then we have a tag for the back. Glue the box on the lower inch here. And put this on the front, and you can use printed paper or add any decorations that you want to those. Any questions?
The only question that came up was, as you were between this project and the previous project, Millie asked if these files are available.
This Keurig cup holder, I don't think I've posted it yet. I can post that in the MTC Toots group. And let's see what the other one was. The pinwheel full card has been already posted there. And of course you probably don't need Farmington for the the basketball design. And that's the basketball itself is in the gallery, so you can put your own text around that. So I probably won't post that. But yes, as soon as we're done, I will go ahead and put this design in there. The nested shapes, I don't know if I've posted it yet, but I will post this as a separate file. So you can use these. If you haven't seen the YouTube tutorial, you want to watch how simple that was using these blocks here. It was just a very short little tutorial. And then I'll post these nested shapes, the cup holder, and the pinwheel is already posted. So any other questions?
There are no other questions.
So do you need to know, I'll be posting them here. I'll show you where they are. I'll go to MTC Toots and Files. You need to sign in. You see my name's here. You would make sure that you're signed in, otherwise you can't access these. You go to Files, then go down to Shared MTC Files, and here's the Pinwheel Fold card right here. I put this in MTC and SVG format for those who are using other software. And then I don't think I put the others, but I will put the others in here, and when they're here, you'll see them at the top of the list, and I will zip them together and give you all the formats: SVG, WPC, MTC, PVG, and I could put AIN if you need it too. So that way you can grab these files just a little while after the webinar is over.
Okay.
Any other questions? Because, you know, wow, we're still early tonight.
Yep. If anybody has any questions, now's the time to type them in, or if you have a microphone, would like to be unmuted to ask a question or make a comment, then click on the raised hand icon in the GoToWebinar console. Otherwise,
Julie,
Yes.
when you were back at the cup holder, it's worth mentioning that, you know, when you were centering up the circle in your square that you'd made,
Yes.
it's worth mentioning that if you have the circle somewhere in the center, on the square, it works. But if the circle is off the square, then they'll both move together. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes. Yeah, get it close. I usually, whenever I'm going to stack something, you don't know which part is going to move to stack them up. And if position is important, you want to make sure that you get them pretty close. You can see the center of any item by the plus sign, shows you the center. So I would pretty much want to get the circle and square so that those little pluses are, I'm going to undo here. Well, if I can undo enough. Change my mat to green here. What she's saying is that if you have, let's say I line this up perfectly with this corner here, and I have the circle over here somewhere, and I want to stack them. I don't know which one's going to move, so I'm going to type S, and you see how this jumped over? So I would stack them over here first, and then move them into position. Making sure that they don't move out of place. So this one again, I can align these little pluses in the middle, type S to stack, and then I could move them where they need to be. I noticed that my lines are not exactly the same, but again, that's how it would work. Now if I join these, I don't want to join them with the dash lines showing because it changes everything to dash lines. But if I join them now, then I get the holes that I need, and then I can show the score lines there. It's a good thing to remember, that when you're using that stack, they may both shapes may move.